All right, everyone, episode 110 of the Daily BE, and we are talking about suspenders today. Now, I'm not wearing suspenders, and so before we even get into it, we need to go into my bias, which I don't really wear suspenders. So, I'm probably not a good resource on this, but we had a really good question come up the other day in the comments section about how to match suspenders to your suit. And I thought, at the very least, just kind of wanted to touch on how to go about picking a good color, because it is kind of similar to pocket squares and a necktie, in my opinion. Therefore, I think I'm qualified a little bit to talk about this, but truth be told, I don't really wear suspenders that often. So, when you're matching suspenders, first of all, even before you get to the matching phase, remember you don't wear a belt if you're wearing suspenders, okay? They're one or the other. Your belt keeps your pants up, or your suspenders keep your pants up, but you don't want to use both of them. I remember years ago I encountered a guy who was wearing, this was in an old office environment years ago, and someone had commented and said, you know, your belt is matching your suspenders perfectly. And I thought, well, they do match, but you know, it's very redundant, so that guy's pants certainly weren't going to fall down. So if you're wearing suspenders, forego the belt. That being said, when it comes to matching it, generally speaking, it's pretty wise to just go with something that does kind of match your suit. So if you have kind of a navy suit on, you want to reach for more or less a navy type suspender. And on the black tie spectrum, sometimes you'll see that suspender kind of matching your dress shirt. So if you're in a tuxedo, for instance, you're very dressed up, very formal event, sometimes that will be a white pair of suspenders, which kind of blends in, but not quite, with your dress shirt. And that's a very, very elegant look. But again, it's usually matching exactly the rest of what you're wearing. Now, what I think is kind of fun, and this is kind of tough because a lot of times you can't find really interesting and kind of, dare I say, complex suspenders. Are usually very bland colors and very singular in color. But if you can find something that's got a little bit more to it, start treating it kind of like you would a pocket square, where you're referring the colors in those suspenders to the rest of what you're wearing. So if you had something that was, let's say that navy suit example, very typical suit, if you can find suspenders that had a little bit of navy, either really dark or really light kind of navy, like a dark light blue almost, and something that had maybe some black in it, or even a bolder color, like a little bit of a red or something, that'll start to look really cool, because now suspenders are kind of more of the main event, and yet they still have that root, that foundation of the color palette and everything else that you're wearing, so it's not complete contrast. Now, if you went the other direction, say you wore bright red suspenders with a navy suit, well, now you're the style guy in the office officially, because you're wearing a very, very bold outfit. And that just depends on your work environment, your needs, and your own personal style, because you can wear whatever the hell you want to wear, really. But when it comes to matching these things, I think it's important to either think about, one, are you going to go for contrast, and that's its own thing, or do you want to match it exactly to the rest of the suit, which is a very traditional approach, safe in any environment, I would argue, or someplace, third option, kind of in the middle, where you're kind of referring different colors and you're treating those suspenders like you would a necktie or a pocket square, and kind of having a little bit more fun with it, and in a very subtle way, showing those around you that you put some thought into it, and that you went above and beyond just kind of a basic match to the rest of your outfit. Does that make sense? Suspenders, I think, are really, really cool. I just don't really enjoy having something over my shoulders like that, just a personal thing. But in the context of being really dressed up, I think they're a phenomenal look for a black tie event, and can be a lot of fun. It's another example to kind of show a little personality in what you're wearing. So, that being said, just to reiterate that I am not the best resource for suspenders, because I don't wear them day in and day out. But if you do, I'd love to hear what you think about how you match your suspenders. Maybe some good sources too for where you find some that are a little bit more interesting than kind of a basic, navy, your blacks, your browns. I think are kind of common. I mean, just like a basic color palette where can you find something a little more interesting, a little more cool? I'd love to hear about it. Sound off below. We need your input. And once again, this is a great question, so I thought we'd kind of go into it, give you a little more feedback. So hopefully that helped and kind of helped to shed some light on, which I think for a lot of guys is kind of a tough thing to map these subtle things, these accessories, whether it is a pair of suspenders or whether it's a pocket square or a necktie to the rest of what you're wearing. But this is a good conversation. Keep good questions coming. We appreciate it, guys. And we'll be back tomorrow. I think what we're going to do is talk about how to wash a dress shirt, which is something I've written a really long blog post on, but I don't think we've done a video on it. And it'll probably be a two-parter. I think the second part will be when you should be thinking about dry cleaning your suit jacket and or the pants. So we're going to talk about laundry in the coming episodes, but it'll be good practical stuff. I think you'll find some value in it. All right, guys. We'll see you soon.